Hey, if you're going to invest in crypto, you really need to do your research on not just the crypto, but the platforms that you're buying through. Hi, I'm Nate Dodson.
And I'm Jillian Sidoti.
And this is why.
Tonight we're going to be talking about FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, and all the nonsense that happened over there.
Hey, you know what? There's so much craziness happening in the crypto world. I mean, I don't think that we can potentially talk about anything other than Mr. Sam B. Is Sam B. Mr. Bankman?
I feel very lucky because as an investor in crypto, I didn't invest in FTX. I didn't put my money in FTX. So for those of you that don't know, what Nate is talking about is the implosion of the crypto exchange FTX that just happened this week.
Literally.
Yeah,
$10 billion,
just
$16 billion gone.
Just gone.
Like, that's how dangerous this can be.
I think, well, there's the really obvious stuff that makes, depressing. Like, this is depressing because it puts a stain on crypto. This is depressing because a bunch of regular people had their money stolen, right? And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, I promise I'm going to get to it. But FTX was a currency exchange, right? Cryptocurrency exchange platform. And it was started by a young man, 30 years old and multi-billionaire, Sam Bankman-Fried, who this geeky looking kid, no offense, and he figured out a way. This is how he made his money, because everybody thinks he made his money like off FTX and his follow-up hedge fund, Alameda, but we're going to get to that. But what he did really to make his fortune was he found out that you could buy crypto in the United States. He could buy specifically Bitcoin in the United States for one price and sell it for a higher price in markets like Japan. So he just kept doing that. Genius, right? Total arbitrage. So he started making all this money off of arbitrage. And then he said, hey, why don't I just arbitrage everything and I'll create a crypto exchange? Because even though I didn't invest in FTX, I will fully admit, I looked at this guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, with a certain level of admiration, and I'll get to that, to why. But so he figures out this arbitrage and he decides to start FTX, which is a cryptocurrency exchange, where you have like an exchange, a market maker for stocks. The market maker for stocks makes money on between the spread on the bid and the ask. It's basically like an arbitrage. They make the market, and so their payment for making the market is the spread on the bid and ask. And so they did the same thing with crypto.
Can I ask you a few things about it? Because there's actually some stuff that I don't really understand or know about this exchange, as well as kind of what's been going on. I've been reading that these guys, they were trading with their client funds, not using stop losses. Stop losses means when the price drops through it, you automatically sell. You sell for a loss, but you stop yourself from losing everything. Literally stop your loss.
Yeah, and so
not what was going on, because a brokerage is totally different.
It's even worse than that, because what they ended up doing is he had this FTX, and then he created this other hedge fund alongside, and we see this a lot. We see market makers like Citadel, for example, a market maker, also have their own hedge fund. And it's a massive conflict of interest, and they do it anyhow, right? So anyhow, they have their own hedge fund called Alameda Research. Basically what Sam Bankman-Fried, and a lot of this, by the way, I just want to say is rumor, it's conjecture, but it's very weird. The whole thing is strange to me. And he hired, for all intents and purposes, what I could tell, children, and I think this is almost 45-year-old children, to take care of billions of dollars, because, well, let's be honest, he was somewhat of a child himself. No offense to any other 30-year-olds out there, but yeah, there's only so much you can handle. And he hired.
It's so much more exciting though. They're like, everybody's dating each other, and then like his dad may or may not work at the SEC, and like all kinds of insanity. Like, how does this even happen?
I don't think it's that his dad works at SEC. His dad was actually it was Caroline Ellison's. Caroline Ellison was his, we think, girlfriend. She looks like she's about 15 years old. She's 28. And I'm not bagging on her looks, but I think her looks matched her maturity level, to be honest with you. Because if you go back and watch some of the interviews with her, she talked about the very things you're talking about, not having stop losses. And she's like, we're just going to invest in any weird thing that's super popular today. The thing was risking billions of dollars on vapor. They were creating coins that were backed by nothing. They were just making stuff up as they went along. And she literally says this in interviews in 2021. Not only that, these kids, these children were tweeting about how they love life on amphetamines. Like they were all hopped up on like Adderall and other things. They had Alameda Research, which was the hedge fund, and FTX. They had classes on how to take uppers and downers to keep yourself going and things like that. Caroline Ellison, her father is the head of economics department at MIT, and worked with the head of the SEC, Gary Gensler, when he was at MIT. All these kids, like, were at MIT, and then I believe Sam Bankman-Fried's parents were professors at Stanford, but I might have that one wrong. So it just gets worse and worse and worse. And so they have FTX, it's going, they have this balance sheet that doesn't quite make sense. It says that they have a liability of Bitcoin, which essentially means they are obligated on behalf of their users who bought Bitcoin on their platform to go out and buy Bitcoin that they haven't ever bought. So they're waiting for the market to shift so they can buy all that Bitcoin. But it got even worse than that, because Alameda Research, the hedge fund, got in trouble. And what they did was, instead of just letting Alameda Research go or getting a bailout for Alameda Research, decided that he was going to raise his users on FTX. It's like Bank of America going, Merrill Lynch isn't doing well, so we're going to take money out of our clients' bank accounts and put it into Merrill Lynch. And oops, favor, it's gone because it could have never been saved in the first place. It's unbelievable. This is worse, way worse than Elizabeth Holmes. And because with Elizabeth Holmes, this isn't about Elizabeth Holmes.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole, because I know how we go, and it's like pretty soon we're talking right back about Citadel. All like circular with the same like fraud that's going on against the public.
These highly educated people, right? Now, the thing about Elizabeth Holmes, I just want to make a differentiating factor, is that was a closed circle of wealthy people who took risks on, her lives. Obviously, they didn't do enough due diligence in a lot of ways, because there were people who uncovered her fraud. But with this guy, right? He had the likes of Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary, Tom Brady, Gisele Bundchen, Stephen Curry, all of these celebrities endorsing FTX and encouraging people to invest in cryptocurrency on the FTX platform. Like, I almost feel like, Kim Kardashian recently was fined by the SEC for promoting a cryptocurrency and not revealing her compensation.
Millions of dollars in fine.
So she got $1 million fine for accepting $250,000 in payment and not reporting it. And fine, whatever, she got in trouble. But you have that.
I've got clients that have set up crypto hedge funds. And you know what? Some of them, they're trading for the accounts of the fund. They're using these exchanges. Some of them are overseen by FINRA, do have regulatory responsibilities. Coinbase, as an example, they're a broker dealer. So there is oversight in some cases, but then in others, because this isn't the first time there's been hackery and shenanigans with some of these offshore international platforms. Like, is there a solution for the masses that are out there? Because crypto, there are legitimate uses. There's legitimate reasons to invest. Not to say that it's good for everybody, But how do people actually protect themselves?
I think I might have an answer to that, but I don't really know because who knows nowadays, right? But I will say this, I have money in Coinbase. But again, Coinbase is an exchange, and you could also buy, for example, cryptocurrency on Robinhood, but you actually don't own that cryptocurrency. You can't take that cryptocurrency with you if you leave Robinhood, right?
You can't put it in your wallet.
You can't put it in right. You can't put it in a virtual wallet or anything like that. And it's how, that's when you hold stock at Fidelity, you actually hold it in their name. They hold it on your behalf. Right. So similar to if you want to own stock directly, you have to what's called direct register your shares through, a transfer agent like ComputerShare. They're the biggest transfer agent in the country. If you want to do it with crypto, you have to have your own wallet. And so I've used a couple of different wallets for buying cryptocurrency. And one I love, it's called Uphold, that I've used for years and years and years. So that's one way of doing things. So you have a couple of different ways of doing this, and you can avoid an exchange altogether if that makes you nervous. But this guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, is now being held in the Bahamas. Supposedly, Caroline Ellison, the CEO of Alameda Research, who has fled. That's the rumor. Again, a lot of this stuff is rumor. Has fled to Dubai, but no one can quite be sure of that. I'm sure they're gonna call her. Somehow she's coming back. There's too many people who lost too much money, I think.
Thought that they were stopped on the exit. The Bahamas have frozen some assets.
Yeah.
Like they are trying to lock it down. I had heard word that actually had flown the coop.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows where she is.
Right. And then there's two other, executives involved as well, but those two are the main, involved parties. So now here is the immediate fallout, right? Like we've been entrenched in this FTX fallout for like a week now. And already, as of, I think it's today, I found an article on Fortune magazine, a number of high-profile celebrities, including comedian Larry David and tennis star Naomi Osaka, are suffering a hit to their reputations after endorsing the bankrupt crypto exchange FTX. Now their pocketbooks could also take a hit. On Wednesday, Oklahoma man Edward Garrison filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of FTX users, describing the company as a Ponzi scheme and saying the celebrities and had endorsed unlicensed securities. In addition to FTX, and this is really dangerous, by the way, I want to discuss that term, unlicensed securities. I want you to explain it once I get through this paragraph. In addition to FTX, other defendants in the suit include NFL star Tom Brady and his supermodel ex-wife Gisele Bundchen, NBA legends Steph Curry and Shaquille O'Neal, MLB's David Ortiz and Shohei Ohtani, and the Golden State Warriors. The complaint filed in Miami says damages clear the $5 million minimum to bring the case in federal court. I mean, look at how, and there were senators who were like, this guy's a good guy. He's talking about regulation and he wants it regulated. That's how we know he's a good guy. And it's like, now, here's where I'm an idiot. And then I want you to explain why this lawsuit is dangerous, not just to these celebrities, but to the rest of us as well. I'm very upset about this. I admired this kid from afar. He was a little geeky, a little disheveled, not much of an executive, but he was someone who was clearly said, I'm not looking to make money to make money. I'm looking to make money to give it away to charity. And now he's ruined it for the rest of us who want to make money to give it away to charity, in my opinion, right?
Oh, I disagree with that entirely. I do think that's a wonderful thing to say. And Dr. Ponzi himself probably said the exact same thing. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for the children. But I think that that's a very normal thing for a complete scam to put on a wonderful face. We're doing this for, it should never stop anybody from saying, well, I don't want to help because this scammer did.
Sure, of course, right.
But I think it has such a negative effect. And thank you for bringing up that there are all these celebrities that are endorsed. They were paid something to promote this exchange, to promote these cryptos. And I do think that it's unbelievably dangerous for all of them. And I don't think that we're going to find out what's going on really until the SEC, the states, or the class action suits goes through their discovery process. But I think they will get a hold of all of these contracts. And if they say, hey, you're going to get paid some percentage or some share based on what happens after your promotion, I think that some of these celebrities, I mean, it'd be amazing to see like the Warriors taking a hit for securities fraud.
I know.
Like, could you imagine how mind-blowing that is?
The whole thing's mind-blowing, and here's why, because so many of us are standing by the statement that crypto is not securities because crypto is a currency, not a security. And now this guy is suing on the basis of an unlicensed security. So Nate, is crypto a currency or is it a security? And who should be regulating it?
Absolutely, maybe. And you know what? We've had this debate before. Is crypto a security? And the answer is a very lawyerly, it depends. There are some crypto, such as Bitcoin, that is a national currency of El Salvador. It can be used in commerce, and it is in fact actually used in commerce. Whether or not the governments agree with how it's being used or not, the fact of the matter is it's really being used for the economy. That still should be regulated. The FTC has jurisdiction. They have their own registration requirements and oversight that is far different than if it was a security. But it is important to note that not all of these are securities. However, some of them are absolutely securities. When they're developed and put together, they have no utility. They're really just there to trade. And you got people out there promoting them specifically because, hey, if the Warriors, if the Kardashians are promoting a crypto that doesn't do anything other than have a celebrity endorsement, and you're investing along with everybody else for the purposes of getting profits from the efforts of public figure promoting it.
Yeah.
It absolutely seems to me that these could, at its core, be a security. And if these public figures that are promoting it were getting paid in the same crypto to get the benefits from their own promotions of that, it definitely seems like these could be unregistered securities that were not managed as unregistered security, that some of these public figures could be some of the key problems and why they really go down by the SEC would have the jurisdiction to oversee and make changes when it comes to the securities ones, although they don't have that jurisdiction over the utility crypto or NFT.
I think, I don't want to get in a rabbit hole, but the SEC might have, ruined their chances with the whole Ripple XRP case and the comments that their former chief legal counsel said, which was that Ethereum and Bitcoin are not securities. Crypto's not a security. It's not under our jurisdiction. So
that may be the case, but that's not necessarily what a lot of the celebrities are out there promoting, such as Kim Kardashian that got fined millions of dollars for a paid endorsement of a token that's not doing anything other than a Kardashian promoted based investment. I mean, and maybe that's just a foregone conclusion, but other than her promoting it and other than people putting their money into it collectively for the purposes of making a profit back, what else is the purpose?
Well, God bless the Kardashians. They figured out how to make, we're talking about how Sam Bankman-Fried made something out of nothing, or at least attempted to make these coins, these fake coins, these vapor coins that, really didn't do anything and were nothing. And they just pump up the price of the coin and then sell it. And then it would, crash, and they made all the money. And there were bag holders everywhere.
You mean a pump and dump?
A pump and dump. I mean, that's what they did. But I mean, isn't that what the Kardashians do constantly? Is like they're making something out of nothing, selling it to those who buy it.
Yeah, but they're using their image to promote something. And generally, you ask me, that's perfectly fine. You want to put your face on some makeup or on a resort, or you want to promote something that is regulated, or you make sure the regulations are handled, fantastic. If you're doing that to an unregistered security, that's where securities fraud could come into play. And the penalties there are astronomical, financially, potentially liberty reducing. There are those chances. Not to say that's going to happen to anybody that was part of this FTX, other than some of the key executive players are definitely at risk. But there could be some major ramifications for public figures. I understand that there's been a lot of political dominations that have helped insulate what was going on to begin with. And now ultimately, is this a house of cards?
I mean, and this is the thing, and here I'm reading out an article on Business Insider now. The fall of crypto exchange FTX is worse than Theranos, worse than Madoff, as federal probes mount, former SEC official says. I mean, this is bad for everyone because so many people endorsed FTX as this darling. Way worse than Theranos, way worse than Bernie Madoff. And I don't know.
You know what? Can I bring up an analogy that I think is sad, but may play out to be true? Our once esteemed, not yet indicted ex-president, who just recently noted he's going to run for re-election. And, you know, if anybody else had done some of the things that he was doing, they'd be indicted and in prison a long time ago. Whether it will ever happen to him, I'm not here to say good, bad, or otherwise, but he is working to be too big to fail. And I don't see any difference between what FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried did other than to try to create an exchange that was too big to fail. There's too many important people's butt on the line.
Yeah, I know. Let me just interrupt your thought for a second I moved to Puerto Rico recently, as you know, and one of the greatest outcomes from moving to Puerto Rico is I never have to worry about who is running for president. And again, because I can't get the president being a president here, and I love responsibility. I don't care. The midterm elections were just this past week, but my aunt and uncle who were visiting me from California were like on their phones on the news, like what passed, what didn't pass. What did we learn today, Nate? What can people do to invest in crypto now that FTX has died?
You know what? If you're going to invest in crypto, there's great reasons to do it. There's great reasons not to do it. In my humble opinion, if you're going to do it, do your research on the companies that you're not investing just into, or the crypto you're investing into, but the platforms you're investing through. And at least in my opinion, make sure that you can keep your coins in your wallet, or at a minimum, work through an exchange that is highly regulated. Through the US SEC or FINRA, which oversees all the investment firms here.
Yeah, and you know, the wallet thing, there's so many wallets out there. You can have a flash drive wallet, you can have a digital wallet. Just find what works for you and what you can trust, and just be careful with those wallets, because if you forget the password, buy my cryptos.
That's absolutely true. And the funny thing is we've all heard kind of those stories of people forgetting their password, or the guy that's still searching the dumpster for the hundreds of millions of dollars that's on some hard drive that he just lost.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you so much for joining us. Just as a reminder, I'm Jillian Sidoti.
And I'm Nate Dodson.
And this is why.